I tend to be a really silent speaker, so if I get silent, more silent,
Well, yeah.
You are in the front, you can hear me, so you guys in the back need to yell at me. Yeah, thanks for having us, especially as we are in a really early stage of our product development and really Alpha, not only Alpha, but Alpha as well. So we're really happy to be here and present to you what we are currently working on. And the talk from Mark right now kind of builds quite nicely up to what we're going to present right now, and also what Mark just said about design systems not only being beautiful sketch UI libraries, but also being more of it, like also having React components or Angular or any frameworks you want. But still, I need to speak up. Yes. And yeah, so design kit or design system. Design system not only consists of a sketch file somehow, but also of more like real coded patterns, but also descriptions of how to use them, how to apply them, UX principles, and so on. So this is a real bigger picture. And actually, we are on the end of the design system. We are going to utilize it, but I'm going to tell you about this in a second. First up, I'm Markus. I'm a product designer at Alva, and this is Tilman. He's our product lead. And both of us, we are product designers at Sinnerschrader in Hamburg.
Does anyone know Sinnerschrader?
Woo! Okay, free camera. Yes. Okay. Then a few words to Sinnerschrader. Sinnerschrader is one of the leading digital agencies in Germany. So only 3 people know us. Fantastic. Now we have about, I think, 500 to 600 people working at Sinnerschrader all across. We have offices in Hamburg, in Berlin, in Munich, Prague, and so on. And we just and Frankfurt. Sorry for missing that. And yeah, we specialized in building big platforms for clients from insurance, for banking. Now we have 2 automobility clients, Audi and VW. So we're really focused on building bigger platforms as well as mobile applications for these clients. So this is just for our background. But at Alva, it is of course not only us two. We have a bigger team in the background. So we have people that work in management. We have people that are, of course, developing our tool. Other engineers, product designers, mentors that really support us really, really hard to get the product out there. Now, thanks to you.
So what we're doing is Sinnerschrader basically is creating websites and applications for the clients, and the communication between teams is quite easy when it's a small team. For example, if you're creating your website or a landing page with 4 people, 2 designers and 2 developers, the communication can be done quite easily. So everybody knows what the others are doing, you know where to go. But problems are getting bigger if you've got a large system. So if you've got multiple pages, multiple projects, or even multiple products. For example, at Audi, we do have 40 different projects that are running at the same time. Because we do have so many projects, we have a lot of people. So we are 60 designers and engineers that are working on the same design system, but on different tools, different products, different websites, apps, etc. So this is where it gets interesting for us, because when you have to manage a huge amount of people, you need a tool everybody can use. So in order to share the information, to share the designs, everybody has to open it, has to know what to do, etc. And when it comes to this large amount of people, most of the teams are using either Sketch or Photoshop. So because everybody has to know what to use the tool. And those tools have a few problems in the terms of applications or websites. For example, you can't design responsively. In Sketch you can only set an artboard, or an artboard for a mobile phone, for a tablet or whatever, but it's not really responsive because you ignore all the sizes between those different devices. You can't do any interactivity because Sketch is only static. And the complete web is interactively, or is doing interactive stuff. And you're trying to design some interactive website with static tools, and this is quite weird. We've also got a bad collaboration because the sketch file can only be opened by one person at the same time. And if you're collaborating, I have to breathe a bit. If you're collaborating with multiple persons, you have to upload the sketch file to a server, then somebody opens it, saves a new version, and you're getting a chaos of different sketch files when you're working with several people on the same project. And Sketch can't handle any updates, so as soon as some components change, for example, the color of the button changes from red to blue, you have to update all these sketch files manually, and that's really awkward. And we've got multiple sources of truth because as soon as designers are changing something, they save it somewhere, and they have one source of saying a button is red, and another person says the button is green, and then nobody knows if a button should be green or red or whatever. And this is not only between the development and the designs, also the design itself. And Sketch is a sandbox tool, so as it is only static, you can't do any big extensions or go into free areas of interaction design. So back to our pages. What we have now is we have got several pages, several projects, and they're all based on the same basic components. So for example, the button, the headline, but they're all coming from all of those pages above, all those projects. So this is our base, this is our design system, which consists of buttons, headlines, text, etc. And every team uses those. And this is a point where it gets interesting for a tool like Alva, how to manage this. So if we say we have got an interactive product and all those pages are already online, there's a component base behind. So these components are used by the developers. So all the real pages have a button, have a headline, etc. This is code in React or whatever. And you can use this code in the applications. In order to design, because we can't use those real code components, we have to make a separate library for Sketch. So we have to rewrite the button statically in Sketch. We have to build the headline, Sketch, etc. And then we have two component libraries. I have to actually all the day think about which is the more current version. And this is where Alva comes in, because we want to make a design tool that leverages the code-based components. We want to go to the field of the real code and not only the static images. So that's Alva.
That is Alva. So please meet Alva. Looks a little bit like this, and just to give you a heads up. So Alva really is a radical new design tool built for cross-functional product teams. And you might think, great, another design tool, and it's radical as well, fantastic, like all the others out there, of course. But as Tilman just mentioned, so Alva really uses the same components as your HTMLs use for building websites. So if these are React components that are used in the web application, Alva uses the same ones. So you don't have two sources of truth, you just have one, and you utilize the same components in your design tool. Because of this integration into development workflow, because you use the same components, we really aim that Alva is also in your Git workflow. This means everybody working on the product, doesn't matter if he's from design, from UX, from development, everybody sees the latest state of a design in Alva. So everything is synced to the same space of using GitHub or whatever, or GitLab. It is completely integrated into your workflow. And because we are really in sync with development, Alva is as well 100% open source. So it's really open source. We have the whole code on GitHub. We have our workflow online. We have our issues online. We have our vision online. So everything is shared with everybody. So everybody can contribute and actually help to make the product not only for working for us, but for everybody out there who wants to work with it. Because if we only produce it for ourselves, then we don't need to make the presentation here. Because we really want everybody to use it and to make it better. So a short timeline. How we came up with the idea and now built Alva. So in the beginning of summer, a short story time.
In June, I guess.
In June, yes. We had the initial idea of that we need a new design tool. We were both working on the same project for Audi, and it was basically a checkout, and there were a lot of repetitions of already existing patterns, and you had to stack them again, and back then we were still working with Sketch, building it again and again, and make a lot of screens, pushing it to InVision, testing it with clients, then rebuild everything, so this was a lot of hassle to work together, especially if multiple people work on one Sketch file, and then push it to InVision again. So, and we thought, okay, this worked out quite well because we were a small team, but it was so much hassle to redo it again, just rearranging elements. And there needs to be a better way, especially as we already have the components coded. So we came up with the idea of building Alva, and then we worked better on the idea and also on a pitch presentation, and then in early September we pitched it in front of our management board to get some time to work on it, so that we can split our time half and half, working for clients and working on the product. And luckily they saw that there is a need for it, and they gave us some time working on it. So the next time we worked on really shaping the goals, the user stories, so that we can get everybody up to speed, that we get resources or developers working for us, and that they also have the same mindset as we do. Then in the beginning of December or end of November, we started with the development in a small team of designers and 3 developers from different backgrounds, so more like architecture and software guys. Yes, on the December 21st, we launched our alpha, and we were a little bit overwhelmed of the feedback that we got, and that there were so many retweets and features on platforms, and we really didn't expect it because we wanted to share it internally with our people and get feedback from them, but somehow a lot of people seem to have the same issues as we do, and there is a need for a tool like this. So now we are in this stage. We're going to try to improve it, get feedback, we will add features and test it, of course. Maybe this was a lot of talking now, and maybe you want to see how it works. So we're going to switch to our demo. Yay. So before we step into it, I wanted to show you that it's really real components that we're using. Can you see it, or is the title too small? I tried to make it a little bigger when I found my mouse pointer. I can't scale the left side now. I tried it already. So on the left side, actually, this is the setup of a normal project setup that we have. We have our patterns in this folder, sorted like atoms, molecules. And on the same level, we have the other folder where we save our designs. And just to step into, if we look at the button, this is actual production code. So everything in there, this will also be used for the website, and nothing set up for Alva at all, except for other things. But this works really as production code. We can look at that as well. So we have something like Storybook or Pattern Lab. We have Pattern Plate used here, just to look at, okay, these are all real components. They work responsibly. This is real code. We can look at it. So this is all real code. And also pictures of cats. Yeah. Of course. So this is a really small pattern library that we built just to test Alva. So it will connect to all the pattern libraries that you already set up. For now, it supports React style components, TypeScript. So this is a really narrow focus on the tech stack, but we will support more in the future.
storybook, for example, will work in the upcoming weeks. So stay tuned.
Okay, back to Alva. Do you want to explain Alva?
Yeah, so the components you just saw are actually here. So the same structure, if you've got a folder and molecules inside, there's a headline just with the atoms. And you see all the components that are in code here. With some icons you can add inside the code. Here, up there, we've got a DOM, so this is the real code how a website would work. You've got like something like a layout component, which says has a maximum width, has some children inside, and all the stuff. So here can you aggregate all your design. You can also drag around the stuff. So let me just show. This will take the layout component up there now. And you see the live changes here in the preview. So this is a real website. You can resize it, and you see the responsive behavior. And it's the same building style like the live applications. So for example, if we work on Audi here, that would look like the Audi D. As I mentioned here, yeah, you can also add the patterns you've got here via drag and drop. Yeah, really nice button. And as soon as you have an element activated, on the right side you see the properties the element has. So for example, this button has a text, has a function to call it whether it's a primary button or a secondary button, and you can set deactivated or a disabled state or the default state. So with this way you can go all through the design, you can add a new design, edit it, and all this stuff.
Do you have to drag it from the library to
the DOM right now? Yes.
Yeah.
Not to this.
Not yet. This is the alpha version.
Yeah.
But yeah, there
that
will
would be the idea of the future.
Yes.
Yeah. So we also try to support direct editing, so you can directly edit here the text by double clicking on, like you used it in Sketch or the other design tools. But for the moment, it's just the DOM. You can edit your elements.
Set up multiple pages, switch through.
Can you show a button? How? Because if you do a web application, you might have some action that is triggered by a button.
Yes, so this is something of the next version. At the moment, we only support in static images or static pages. We work on the interaction module, so you can add interactions to several components, or if the component itself, like a button, has a state or a function, we can support that to link that to another page or whatever. And if the button or the component itself doesn't have a function for that, you can just select a complete element and link it somewhere.
Can I think of it like the interface of the application builder of Xcode? You know what I'm talking about?
Actually,
I've never used Xcode, so it's...
Yeah, okay, no mind. Yeah.
So actually it's like you could add on the right side, or on the left side if you added a component, on the right side you could add an interaction, say link this to another page or make some kind of interaction on the same page, for example opening some windows or whatever. There was another question.
Yeah, and so who designs these components that you can then use on the page? Do you need to first design in Sketch or Photoshop and then someone codes them up?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. This is our approach because we think as a designer you shouldn't really code the production code. The developers that can do this way better. So we want to take the advantage of the developers having real code and the reusable code. And as a designer you could add, for example, placeholder PNG. So you're adding just a placeholder. And as soon as you say the new red button I added as a placeholder, should be the new version, the developer could come across and just write the code for the red button and swap it all around or swap all the placeholders.
If you want to redesign it, like you see this component, it looks bad. So then how do you give feedback to the developer? You use still Sketch or Photoshop and give them the new design of the component?
Yes,
or
somehow.
do they work from this? Or can you modify the component and give feedback through Alva?
Not yet. It's something we could integrate, but we'll have to look if it makes sense. Yes, we thought about it. Our current workflows would say you make a placeholder component inside Sketch, GIMP, Photoshop, whatever, export it as a PNG, JPEG, whatever, and then just bring it into Alva. Because we don't want to build the same features as Sketch inside another design tool, because as soon as we try to do this, we could mess it up, because then it's a real giant program.
So this is more like for entire layouts, not designing this component like from the...
Yeah, so, yes, exactly. It's about bringing the components together to a page, and it's at the moment not about creating new components. but we'll look into that as well.
So you still have separate design process and separate coding process. And the second question is, how is it different from Visual Composer or any other page builder for WordPress?
Can you repeat the last question?
Yeah, what's the difference between this and Visual Composer or any other page builder for WordPress, basically, where you put in, design assets and build layouts out of them?
Here's the difference that we use only the code-based elements. So in our ecosystem, for example, we use React, and we do not have like WordPress or any other tool for that. So we need to use the real code, for example, React in our case. There's at the moment we didn't find any design tool that supports this dragging around and creating fastly prototypes. So just for React, maybe there's for HTML, so maybe there's other stuff, but for React it isn't. Or we couldn't find anything.
So actually this.
How do you find the exact properties of that red button now? Is there a code that this links to, so I can identify exactly what I'm looking at? So now, if you could you just now right now click on the button or in the atom and see the code that it's linked to, or how do I get back to the actual definition of the button, let's say?
I mean, so you want to see the code.
Yeah, just in general, like the interaction between this step where I see the button and the code behind it, or the properties or whatever.
Actually, so these are the properties that you can edit. If we look at, for example, if I throw away the red thing. I forgot to save. Right now, so it shouldn't be red anymore if I set it primary. So if you update the code, so if there is an update in your code structure, in your patterns that you get in again with GitHub pull or anything, your designs are already update automatically.
So you have this components already built.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Components are on the secondary button, which is in React, and then basically this thing just pulls it up based on what you define, what's primary, what's not. It just goes to the library.
Could you
So it actually is like a layout builder for now.
Yes, it is.
Okay, based on components already established.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Could you open the code again? So the top of the code, you see the properties that are declared by React. So here's the name disabled default false. When you add the name here, Alva gets that should write the label disabled next to it, primary, and on the right side there are all the properties inside React. So Alva actually searches for its properties and just displays it next to on the right side of the application.
Is it possible to view all the components within the Alva interface?
Yes, so the left bottom, there are all the components. But
Okay, so
for
that's
visual
the
case.
structure that you already have.
Yeah.
And the trees there, that's
Exactly.
everything
Yeah.
that already built.
Do you have some sort of presentation mode where you can present your design?
Not yet. We were thinking about a view mode and an edit mode because as soon as we reach the interaction, you want to edit a button, you don't want to click on a button, then go to the next page where you want to select the button. And in that case, we need an edit mode and a play or in play mode or in view mode.
Yeah.
And we will also add a deploy feature, so you can actually deploy your website with one click and have a website or a running web server where you can view all your prototype.
That's like the next version or coming at some point.
Some of the next versions.
Yeah, okay.
But we're entirely on GitHub, so you can search for our issues, and if you miss anything, feel free to create an issue.
Cool. 21 days for development is impressive.
And do you still have a design system next to the sketch or not all anymore?
Well, this is just now a sample design system where we build something from scratch at first, because Sketch is really good at drawing something from a blank canvas. If you have nothing and you start from scratch, Sketch is really good at it. What Sketch is not good at is if you already have the components and you need to rearrange them and just build workflows out of it, and test them in a real life environment, especially in different viewports. So you have a mobile and a desktop viewport, and actually in Sketch you would have to build two separate layouts and workflows and fraud vision, and this is super annoying.
That's mainly the thing that you solve. But do you also have an idea for going from scratch, or would you just do you like before to use Sketch?
There are actually two ideas of it right now. We didn't decide which one we want to take. The first one is we ship a design kit with Alva. So because not everybody has a pre-built React style guide, we say we ship one with a free button and some basic stuff. And we could start with that, and your developers could iterate on that. So they take the button and make it better or more brand appealing or whatever. And the alternative version would, or the alternative approach would be to add the placeholders initially. So you start by placeholders, start by Sketch, and you add all the PNGs. So it's like Envision on a modular base. Not complete pages you link to each other, but like a button that is a PNG, and you've got a headline that is a PNG, and then you can link. So these are our two approaches. And if you've got any opinion what you like more, or let us know.
But as soon as we start to act like Sketch, we have a lot of competition that are years ahead of us.
Yeah.
And actually, we don't really want that, because we don't want to compete with Sketch. Sketch does what it does really well for building up from scratch. What it doesn't do well is building workflows that are responsive and interactive. That's where Alva comes in. Yeah.
So your target group is still the designers, right? Not
yes. At the moment, yes. Okay. So what comes out of it is a YAML file, which contains all the structure. So it says, here's a page with these components and these properties. And with that, you could do anything you can imagine. So you could deploy your real websites live, or make changes or whatever, or feel free to ideate on that.
Just to add to that, can you go back to the screen, please? I think it's not only for designers, it could also be for product managers.
Yes.
Because if you see on the right top, there are style possibilities are limited, which are limited in a code level. So they cannot really create crazy designs. They have stick to the design which is already defined by design system.
Yes, with the option to have placeholders if you want to try out something different.
And using those atoms and molecules, they can play around with anybody, can play around with, and they can create prototypes. And after your prototyping view version, they can really share with others and get feedback quickly.
Exactly. In that terms, it's more for product designers, product engineers, and product managers, because you can easily share this thing. You don't have to download Sketch and all the stuff to view all your designs. We also think about a way to bring a new level of communication inside it by linking Git issues with the comments inside Alva. So as a product manager, you could add a comment and saying this is the wrong color or whatever. And based on that, there could be a Git issue created in the background, a link to it, so you have a fluent way of communicating on stuff. But that may be future, we'll see.
We already skip, I think, the next slides.
Yeah.
Talk about it already. But that's fine.
Like being open source, are you also looking for collaborators? Or?
Of course.
Yeah. Depends on the person.
Okay. So we tell a bit more about the distance between this, because it's prototyping, right?
Yeah.
And production ready code.
Yeah.
Do the developers have to recode everything from scratch to be, plug in CMS and all that stuff, or do they serve the backend, or do they use this code, which is production ready?
It's not yet production ready. So as I said, we created a YAML file with all the structure. And based on that, we could do something that does some of the developers' work. So, but we didn't focus on that yet. So we wanted to focus on one side of the production process or the design process, and we decided for the design process itself because we see the most annoying stuff at the moment there by having a separate library in Sketch, which isn't interactive and is missing a lot of features. Because a button, for example, in Sketch doesn't have a hover effect, but in the real life it has. And we believe the most crucial parts are inside the design process. When you are in a large-scale design team with components or code-based components.
So, just maybe I can get it right. With the pattern library you have on the left bottom side and the YAML file, you can create an initial project with React.